Trump was on with Sean Hannity the other night. And, I talked about earlier when we talk about the debate, how bad it's going to be for Donald Trump, that it may have similar ramifications, not ramifications, because again, he will never pull out of this race. He knows if he pulls out, the only choice or the only destination for him is jail. And so he's got to do everything he can to win this race. So he's going to stay in it. But he was on Sean Hannity the other night, and he was showing very similar signs that a lot of people were accusing Joe Biden of. This is him talking about who he's running against. And once again, he gets it completely wrong.
Imagine New Hampshire voting for him. Anybody in New Hampshire, because they're watching right now, but anybody in New Hampshire that votes for Biden and Kamala.
Oh, boy.
I really think I call her.
Yeah, I don't know what he said after that. He said, I call her. I don't know if he went into the thing. He called himself saying Biden. But this is guy clearly in cognitive decline. He is losing his mind. And now he is going to go into a debate with somebody whose mind is fully formed. I mean, I admit, as much as I love Joe Biden, he's lost steps. I mean, it was difficult to hear him talk at times. That's not to say that he wasn't head and shoulders above Donald Trump as far as a presidential candidate, as far as a presidential a leader. He was definitely smarter. He knew policy. He knew domestic. He knew foreign policy. He knew everything, but he was a step slower. And he would mix up some things, and he would mix up words. And he was going up against a guy who it wasn't seen as much, because the difference between Joe Biden and Donald Trump is they would both mix up things, and they would both show cognitive decline. But Joe Biden looked and sounded really old. Donald Trump still sounded spry, and he still had this sort of gusto and bravado and everything. So you just look at the two, and if you just heard, you don't even hear the words, you just hear mumbling. You hear between the two, you would say that person A was really slow and old, and person B was still had vigor and still was going. But this time, you're going to have somebody, he could have the vigor, he can have this, but he's cognitively losing it. And Kamala Harris is going to play on that like crazy. And it's going to wind up, I think, being really, really bad. But as we end the show, a couple more clips from the Sean Hannity show. This is Donald Trump. It almost sounds like he's begging. He needs your vote. He cannot lose this election because he knows what's coming if he does.
Can't take the chance. You have no choice. You've got to vote for me. You've got to vote for me. You got to. Even if you don't like me, you know. Yeah. It's
I want to go back real quick. Did he tell Sean Hannity to be quiet in a way when Sean Hannity said something like, yeah, something like that? He was just like, be quiet. I need them to keep cheering or something. Just watch. I might be wrong.
No, but even
right there.
If you don't like
one
me,
more time.
Yeah. It's no, but even if you
don't
like me, you can sit there and say, I can't stand that guy, but there's no way I'm going to vote for her. No, you.
Yeah, there's going to be plenty of people that are going to vote for her. I think he's going to wind up being, I don't know if he'll wind up being surprised. I think he's feeling it. I think he feels like he's losing. You could almost see the panic in Donald Trump every day. You could see the panic on that Truth Social, and apparently he's back on Twitter. I have no idea because I block him. But he's on there tweeting all day long. He's in panic mode again. I talked about this on the last show, where I think that he just thought he was just going to waltz right into victory in November. And then all the things that happened. And now, he's freaking out, and he's going to have to go back to work and try to figure this out. And I think it might be too late for him. I just do not see a path for Donald Trump to win this election. I just don't. But if there's any reason not to vote for him, because he's saying, you have to vote for me. Even if you don't like me, you have to vote for me because I'm going to be so great. Well, he said this today, and this is the exact reason why you should not vote for him. Come on.
Straight years I fought for American workers like I would fight for my own family. I took care of our economy like I would take care of my own company.
Duh. If he's going to take care of the company like he took care of his own company, then run for the hills. You should, considering voting for a guy who basically destroyed every so-called company he put his hands on. If you really truly, I've said this a million times and I say it over and over and over again because I really truly want people to go and look at this guy. If you're still voting for him based on his business acumen, if you still think that this guy was an incredible businessman, please, I'm begging you, do the research on Donald Trump as a businessman. He was so bad at business. He destroyed businesses left and right. He bankrupted 3 casinos. He tried to get a casino license. If you're that good at business, if you're really good and you're really good in the casino business and you're good at everything, you are going to have people begging for you to do business with them. Las Vegas, Nevada, the mecca of gambling. Donald Trump tried to get a gambling license in Las Vegas when he opened his Trump Hotel. Las Vegas laughed at him so hard. I think they might still be laughing to this day. And he asked for this probably 30 years ago, 30 plus years ago. He was so awful. I mean, literally everything he put his hands on, he destroyed. And the only reason why this dude has money is because his father was good at business and made a ton of money and left Donald Trump over $400 million. That's why Donald Trump is good at business. What Donald Trump is good at, he's good at marketing himself as a good businessman. He has suckered a lot of people into thinking that he is the guy that we all want to be. We want to be he's the American dream. Now, yeah, sure, we all want fathers or mothers or whoever in our family to leave us $400+ million. We would all love that. And I personally, if I had a mother or father that left me $400 million and somebody goes, you didn't earn it, I'd be like, I agree with you, buddy. I didn't, but I got it, and I'm lucky. So, but Donald Trump doesn't do that. Donald Trump is going to make you think that he was so incredibly good at business that you should elect him again because he will run this country, like he said the first time, like he did his business. And I will point out a million times, the economy was pretty good during the first 3 years of his presidency, but it had nothing to do with Donald Trump. It was because Donald Trump really didn't do anything. He didn't inject any policies that was going to destroy the economy at that time, right as it was happening. But his tax cuts for the rich helped add $8 trillion of debt to this country. And part of these tax cuts for the rich is part of the reason why we had higher inflation. Not the whole reason. It's part of the reason. There are so many different reasons as to why inflation got as high as 9.1% in this country. One of the other reasons was Donald Trump, along with Joe Biden, both injected a lot of money into our economy during COVID through their COVID plans. So, and Donald Trump injected, I think it was over $1 trillion more dollars than over $1 trillion more dollars than Biden did in his COVID relief plans. So all the COVID relief plans could have had some effect on getting that inflation up to 9.1%. But the inflation is all the way down to 2.9%. And if anybody does follow this, if they really do care, if you really want to do the investigation as to whether or not the country is in way better shape now than it was when we hit that inflation at 9.1%, do yourself a favor and just look it up. I was in a group text today. Somebody wanted to send me, this Trump idiot wanted to show me that inflation was at 20%. I said, if you really believe inflation is at 20%, there's really no sense in doing this group chat anymore. There really isn't anyway, because all of it is garbage and all of it is stupid. But I said, if you really believe it's 20%, and one of the other guys chimed in and says, might not be 20, but I believe it's probably 16. I said, it's not 16 either. They said, well, what is it? I said, it's 2.9. Like, you could do this yourself. How are you guys not looking into this? But I think people just need to believe that it is a certain percentage so they can continue with the narrative that inflation is high. That's why we got to get rid of Biden. And again, you guys, nobody uses nuance to anything. It's not like Donald Trump was president. 2020 came around. He loses the election. Joe Biden is sworn in at 2021, and then all of a sudden inflation goes up. That's not how the economy works. But trying to explain that to especially MAGA people is nearly impossible. But I still battle. I do my best. I try every time. So